Advent is another almost distinctly Christian holiday season. It marks the 4 weeks leading up to Christmas, each represented by a different candle for a different value: hope, peace, joy, and love, with the candle for joy being a pink color, while the rest are violet. I have, like Lent, decided that even though I'm no longer Catholic, I still find value in participating in Advent. And so I've decided to, for the first time in nearly a decade, set up an Advent wreath with candles. Or at least that was the original plan before things got busier than usual here, and next thing I knew was the 15th and I had not bought wreath nor candles. But I'll go ahead and talk about it anyways. The Advent wreath, while having its origins in the 1500s, was made a tradition in America in the 1800s, meaning that this tradition was relatively newer by the 1900s. Older Advent wreaths featured 24 candles, which would be lit during the 24 days leading up to Christmas. However, the less flammable modern version with 4 candles would later replace these closer to the 1900s. I'd be remiss if I did not mention the Advent calendar. This was, as the story goes, created in the 19th century by a Munich housewife who tired of having to answer endlessly when Christmas would come. I've also seen it mentioned in multiple different places that it was started in the early 1800s by German Lutherans or Protestants, depending on who you ask, with physical wooden ones emerging in Germany in the 1850s. Calendars with doors that hid traditional pictures, Bible phrases, and chocolates did not appear until the 1920s, 30s, and 50s respectively. So while it is possible that the calendars themselves could have made their way to America by the 1900s, especially in areas with a majority German population, they would look different from the Advent calendars we're used to in the modern day, being mainly handmade and simply a decorated countdown calendar. In 1902 or 1908, again depending on who you ask, the printed Advent calendar first appeared on the market. Personally, I have never used an Advent calendar, even when I was a kid, and these things have always been more geared towards children. So I have decided against incorporating one into this project, even though they would have been culturally appropriate and timely. Instead, I'm going to take the season to reflect on the values of hope, peace, joy, and love. Advent begins on the closest Sunday to November 30th, which actually is November 30th this year. And the season starts with the value of hope. I consider myself a hopelessly hopeful person, always believing in the best of people and situations. This has bitten me more times than I can count, but it has also rewarded me greatly. Hope is what has gotten me through some of the darkest times of my life when I have felt trapped, worthless, or unlovable. Hope is what has got me out of a truly terrible living arrangement into the life I have now. Hope is what gets me through the day when all the doom and gloom the world shouts at us is starting to really get at me. Hope inspires me to do my best every day in every conundrum I find myself in. And while I am more cautious nowadays around people, I still approach all things with hope and optimism. The next Sunday marks the second week of Advent, which centers around peace. Peace is something I have only really been able to experience since I met Sean. All my life, it seemed like I had bounced from one nest of anxieties to the next. Things got especially bad for me in 2022 to 2023. I was lucky enough to meet Sean, and he helped me get out of that hole of despair and turned my house from feeling like a cage into actually feeling like a home. My stress has significantly gone down. I can actually relax. Even the cats are coming out of their shells. Peace has turned from an abstract concept into a word with actual meaning to me. Sean, my ever-supportive partner and editor of this project, I know you'll see this. I can't tell you how much I really appreciate you and everything you have done for me. I love you. You can edit that bit out. The third Sunday marks the third week, which centers around joy. Last year, I decided to allow myself to feel unrelenting joy whenever I may find it. It's about taking the time to step back and point out to myself sources of happiness in the moment. The feel of a nice warm sweater, the taste of a home-cooked dinner, the softness of my cat's fur and the vibrations of their gentle purrs, the sound of my husband's voice as he talks my ear off on one subject or another. It's no longer taking these small joys for granted and being mindful of them. Joy doesn't have to be a big thing, and your days don't have to rush by in a monotonous blur. Now I have things I look forward to every day, even if it's just skimming a magazine or making up a cup of coffee. It makes the bigger joys in my life seem even bigger than they did before. I literally bounce for joy whenever Sean gets home, so when we go on a trip or celebrate something together, oh boy. Currently, it's the final Sunday of Advent. Christmas will be here in a few days. Between Sean and I, we have quite a few Christmases to celebrate with all the extended family. Now, surrounded by friends and family is the perfect time to focus on love, the final theme of Advent. There are countless sources of love in my life, but I'll mention a few I cherish the most. I love my friends and family and make sure they know it. Even the family members I don't regularly talk to, they know the love is there. I love Sean, a better partner than I could have ever dreamed of, and I make sure to tell him at least a dozen times a day. I love myself, and I make sure to show myself love by working towards my goals and maintaining my health and fitness even when I don't particularly feel like doing so. Hope, peace, joy, love. Advent may be a Christian holiday season, but these are not values invented or reserved just for Christians. These are values we all find in our everyday lives in our own ways. I think we can all benefit from this season of contemplation. And how better to celebrate all these values than in the holiday season? Christmas, Yule, Hanukkah, Saturnalia, with family, friends, or even by yourself, all these values can show themselves if you look for them. Hoping to wake up to clear roads for traveling, the peace of low holiday music on the record player, the joy of giving, the love that flows between family, friends, or even just within yourself. Happy Advent!